Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Nats Nation here on Rogers TV. I'm joined, as always, by Zach Springer and Ryan Robinson as we continue our countdown to what possibly could be the 2020-2021 season. And how are you doing tonight, guys?
I'm good, Kyle, but I think we're going to have to stop saying 2020 at this point, unless we can get started on time here in December. It might have to be the 2021 season, but I guess we'll see in the coming weeks here.
Do we then turn around and call it the special edition season? Because then you can't actually put it in the seasons of, the cross sections. So it'll confuse people because it'll be the 2021 and then there will hopefully be a 2021, 2022 season. I'm confused. That's up to somebody for the website to take care of. But I'm right in the same area as Zach right now. For me, we're middle of November area now, and the season's supposed to. The league wanted to start December 2nd was their targeted date sort of thing. Haven't seen a schedule yet. That doesn't mean I'm not expecting we're going to get inside information or anything.
They did release the GOJHL did release a list of things they want to do if they do start the season, and it does list a bunch of options that do make sense, like having the assigned seating. You're only going to have about 150 people in the arenas, so it looks like they have the groundwork in there, but it's all comes down to basically the health units in the area.
Well, and to that point, you have to, it's not like a scenario where I think the league can, especially the teams, can't just say, well, we're gonna start playing, and obviously we all know that these leagues are driven by the fact that there's usually a percentage of money made from people walking in the door and sitting and watching games. So the leagues want to try and find a way to make some money. I know they're not gonna. You look at Sarnia, for example, who their average attendance, they say, usually sits in the high hundreds or low thousands sort of thing. Well, they're not going to get that number into the barn in Sarnia. So the league kind of has to come back with obviously a plan to the local health units, and the factor is they're going to have to present this to multiple different health units. It's not just a matter of the league saying this is what we're going to do, but it's like there's different rules right now when it comes to teams in Kitchener, Waterloo, teams down in Essex, teams obviously London and Middlesex. You even look at here we've got different rules between where between London and St. Thomas and Strathroy, and you look into those kind of teams, Stratford as well. So they have to come up with some kind of plan. I think, as you said, Kyle, I think it makes a lot of sense. Things that make sense. Spectators have to be tracked, assigned seating. Basically, it has to be in place. Wearing a mask, I think, at this point, it's pretty self-explanatory. But they have to come with a plan that they can present to health units so that they can feel comfortable in order for them to give the yeses and nos. And frankly, I don't know about you, Zach, but I haven't heard any yeses or nos to this plan at this point. So until approvals by health units and local public health authorities come into play, until they say give you the big green check mark, we're not playing hockey until that happens.
Absolutely, and hats off for sure to the GOJHL for coming together and putting those kind of regulations of their own in place. I think it's definitely better that they have something or some sort of framework than not so. But I think ultimately it really does in this case come down to the government level and what, as Ryan said, the different health units will be able to let them do, and what you would have to think the province of Ontario kind of allows them to do. You see Toronto and the GTA kind of going back into the red zone right now. I know that closer to me in the OJHL, there's a lot of kind of within health units, teams playing each other. I think the Wellington Dukes and Trenton Golden Hawks are playing an 8-game series, and I think we know in the GOJHL there's definitely some exhibition games going on as well. But it all seems to be kind of within the different public health units. I think Kamoka and London are teams that are facing off, and it just I think one of the reasons why we'll have to kind of wait and see here is because if a league like the OHL is sitting on, I'm sure, the same sort of framework, but waiting for government approval, you'd have to think that all the leagues that kind of flow under it will also have to be waiting and try and get that go ahead too. So I just think that although the GOJHL has put in a ton of work here, I think it's definitely going to be a bit of a waiting game for them to see if they can actually go ahead and if they can play. If fans, it's crazy. Who knows what will be allowed to happen with fans. But like I said, it's definitely better that the GOJHL has come together. They have thought about this. The governors have talked, and it's better that they have kind of the framework. But at the end of the day, the fate sort of seems to be in the hands of the government.
Now, moving on from all of this, like maybe season talk, going to if we actually do have a season, whether this winter or the coming or the start of next year, what do you guys think of what would happen from the teams in the league here? Like who's coming out in the top of the pile? Like who's going to fall off? What do you guys think of the standings wise?
Do we go with the usual process, Zach, that you and I just do in the early part of the season? Who's the top two? Who's the bottom two? And who fills in the middle?
I think, Ryan, it's safe to say that the Nats and Leamington seem to be teams that are able to be powerhouses every single year. And, purely off, reputation and what they've done the past few seasons, you have to expect that their own personal expectations are as high as the bar that they've set for themselves. So I truly believe that those will be the top two teams again this coming year. I think that London, just the way that they're centered and the reputation they have within the London area, I think that Pat Powers has an unbelievable recruiting ability, and I think he's done it again, bringing in some really top players from Western University. They've got the stud goalie. They have another goalie who was unbelievable last year at the midget level. And the Leamington team, we obviously don't know quite as much about, but you just have to think that they consistently recruit well. They're able to get players that are older to kind of come and play for them. You have to think those would be, should be the top two teams again. Is that what you're going to go with, Ryan?
I mean, that'd be the safest bet I think we'd ever make right now, because how many years in a row has it been 1-2, those two, and it's we've only seen 1 or 2 years where it's been Leamington 1 and London 2, and we've seen it happen once or twice, sort of thing. But that would be kind of that's the easy expectation, or the easy kind of prediction, I would say. But I don't disagree with you, mainly because we even saw. A lot of people thought when Leamington went through a ownership transition, and obviously Tony Porosky, who was there forever, I got along with Tony fantastically. Tony just had a way of building his team, I think, very similar to how a lot of people say Pat Powers has a way of building his teams, and that they're very consistent that way. A lot of people, I think, thought that when Leamington had the change of power and the change of head coach, that something might change, and it didn't. So, tradition and basically history, you would assume, would repeat itself. I know the story for me of the team that kind of made some surprises last year was St. Mary's. The fact that they finish, and they finish up in, third place in the league, especially after multiple years where they were at the bottom, kind of fighting for that 8th spot with, the likes of Kamoka and Sarnia, and then St. Thomas had obviously the tough time last year as well. So for me, it's like it's whether or not St. Mary's is there to stick around or not. Obviously, I know they want to bring their team back to that prominence, and then they did really well last year, and they want to stay there. LaSalle Chatham always seemed to be that first round series, and it's the close proximity games. So does that stick around? I'm keeping an eye on Strathroy. They're kind of the one for me where I kind of say they come up a little bit, then they bounce down, and then all of a sudden last year they were in that lower tier, but then I think they made kind of a late run sort of thing, and made a few decent things happen. So for me, it's kind of it's taking a look at that. And then Kamoka, I don't know why, but I've just got a feeling that one of these years they're gonna they made that push up in the standings a couple years ago. They had a decent playoff run. The playoffs for them haven't been too bad in the last couple seasons. So for me, it's Kamoka. That's kind of the, it's whether or not St. Mary's is actually going to stick around, and whether or not Kamoka is going to take that boost up, because obviously, they got a nice arena. They've got, that allure of some local kids sort of thing. I know there's still people in the league who gripe and complain about the fact that Kamoka is actually in the league, and it's taking away players from, the London area and the Strathroy area and stuff like that. But you know what? It's not too bad. And from a hockey perspective and a hockey fan perspective, Saturday nights isn't a bad time to go down to the Kamoka Wellness Center and take in a hockey game, especially because I know for people like myself, and I know Zach, you like to keep an eye on the younger prospects of the world, especially if they're getting their opportunity to move up. It's a chance to kind of see maybe another chance to see one or two of those teams. So for me, it's whether Kamoka moves up and whether St. Mary's moves down.
Well, Ryan, all those love for all those teams, and nothing for the team that looked like they could have gave the Nationals a bit of a run for their money in the LaSalle Vipers.
They've always been a good club in LaSalle, but I don't get to see them enough. I think that's my toughest part with LaSalle. I think it's still the only building in the Western Conference I haven't actually seen yet. So I got to make my way down to Essex County to check out a Vipers game. But always a good team. But I think it's just a factor of simply, as I said, team that we don't see enough, and especially with LaSalle and London both having Wednesday night games, they end up having usually the family day game, and then there's probably a Saturday night game at the Western Fair too. So it's just it's off nights for our usual Wednesdays. So if you only get to see a team once a year, it's hard to say exactly what you expect out of them. So we'll wait and see.
And then one last thing is, does a team like St. Thomas finally claw their way out of the bottom again?
I think the issue with some of those teams is they're almost always looking for the future, and they're looking to kind of be in rebuild mode over and over again, where they're trying to recruit the young players, the 16-year-olds who they hope in a few years will be good. It seems that some of the other teams are able to scoop those players via trade kind of before that happens, and they never see that rebuild through. We saw kind of St. Mary's for the first time last year with players who were all in their second or third year on that team. They kind of came together, and it was the first time I've seen that in this league. So for a team like St. Thomas, I kind of see where the vision is and what the plan could be. I just don't know if at this level it always gets followed through that way.
I also think whether or not they're operating for a team that wants to win at the junior B level, or are they operating as a team at the junior B level, which is, some people say, for the intended purpose, which is an opportunity for younger players to get a chance to play a little more time and then move on to the next level. We've seen that time and time again, and especially with them having an official affiliation with the Knights, we see a lot of those younger Knights players go and play in St. Thomas for a year to get some time and then move on to the next level. That sometimes, I don't want to say hurts them, because obviously they're helping out their team they're associated with, but still it's one of those times where sometimes you have to make the choice, and sometimes it's a really tough choice.
Either way, it should be a very exciting season once we finally do get puck drop underway. We'll be back with more Nats Nation after this. Welcome back to Nats Nation here on Rogers TV. I'm now joined by the announcer for the London Nationals, Jeff Shaugnessy. Jeff, how are you doing?
Kyle, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Things have been going so far. Still hopeful that we'll see a form of a season so far this season.
Yeah, I remain cautiously optimistic. I know things right now in Ontario are trending a little funny COVID-wise, but I'm the eternal optimist, so I hope we'll be back in the rink at some point for some semblance of a 2020-2021 season.
It would be really good to see that. Now, just going through your role with the London Nationals, can you explain what you do?
Sure. I am the public address announcer and in-game host. So I'm the guy you hear in the arena announcing penalties, announcing goals, which is a lot of fun. And also I occasionally step onto the ice with a wireless mic and entertain the crowd a little bit with, a few of the intermission games and stuff that we put on from time to time.
Yeah, we'll make sure to get into that in just a second. But take me through an average game day for you when you get to the rink.
Sure. I get to the rink just before warm-up. I've got, most recently, I've been bugging the team, so getting the Nats guys to give me music that they like for warm-up, and I'll play that for them for the 20 minutes that they're on the ice pre-game. And then about the 10 minutes while we get the ice resurfaced, I play sort of my pre-game playlist. So I should say, as well as doing the PA announcing and the in-game hosting, I also do all the music in the arena, which is a lot of fun. So people ask me how I pick the music I play, and to be honest, it's music that I want to hear. So, I get all the, I get the game sheets, get the starting lineups, make sure I have proper pronunciations of last names. Even for the visiting team, I like to, I like to run our in-game stuff at the Western Fair Arena. as professionally as possible. You never know when a player's grandparents are going to be in the stands, for example. And I take a lot of pride in getting the last names right and announcing as professionally as possible.
Now, with the way you go through games, is there anything that you want to do that you just haven't had a chance to do yet?
Honestly, Kyle, no. I've put a little bit of personal flair into some of the players we have on the Nationals in previous seasons. So when they score a goal, you can have a little fun with some of their names and give it a little more, oomph on some of the names. But, I've cracked a few jokes in the arena. Some people have heard them. Some people, it might just fly over top of their heads. But as I've said previously, I try to keep it as professional as I can. I don't belittle the other team when they're in our arena, pay them respect as an opponent. And like I said, I like it when people say we have a nice professional in-game atmosphere. That's what I strive for.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that we do see you have a bit of extra fun with is the regionally famous Shoot to Win contest.
That's right.
Yeah, take me through what your experiences are running that event so far.
Yeah, we usually do that. I think it's in the first intermission we run that. It's been so long that since we've been at the rink, I can hardly remember everything. But we get to pick a couple contestants out of the crowd and have them come down, and whoever can get the most of their 3 pucks into the open net at the end of the ice, they can win a prize courtesy of the Nationals. So I like to have a little bit of fun with that, get the crowd, get some energy going into the building during the intermission there. I have an assistant as well. Lou the Bear often assists me out there. Sometimes he plays net. Sometimes he's out there doing something funny. So, a little bit of crowd entertainment's always fun.
Oh, well, we got a surprise for you, Jeff. He's actually here with us tonight.
Ah, Lou, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see.
He's always been a talkative one out there, I've noticed.
He doesn't say much. The rule is for our costume mascots here in North America, there's no talking, and Lou the Bear sticks to that rule. So it's really great to see him. Lou, it's fantastic to see you. You doing good? Everything's good? Right on.
Hey, Lou, is hockey coming back this year?
We're lucky in London to have Lou the Bear. I think he's one of the best mascots in town, absolutely, if not the best. And Lou, I heard you did a rendition of the Shoot to Win contest without me. Was that on Halloween or something?
Took it through all himself, and it looked like he was missing his running mate out there, though, Jeff.
Well, you got to have somebody to talk the participants through it, and to talk Lou the Bear through everything too. Sometimes he needs a little bit of reminding.
Thank you guys so much for taking your time out to talk to us here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, it's been a blast, and it's great to see you. And Lou, it's great to see you too.
Thanks so much, Lou. Thanks, Jeff. And we'll give the last word to Lou. Thanks again, Lou. And of course, we always do need more cowbell. Now, looking forward, we have Springer Cam this week, and we're talking about group chats.
The players have to come out right after practice. They're not allowed to talk in the dressing room, but they must communicate somehow. Let's see if they tell us about their group chat. We're here now with Jared, F-R-O-E-S-E. How do we pronounce that?
Froze, like water, kind of.
Jared froze like this movie Frozen.
Like ice.
Frozen like ice. Have you watched the movie Frozen?
I can't say that.
I know that you get kicked out right after practice now. You're not allowed to stay and hang around. You didn't even shower before we did this interview. Have you been able to be participating in the team group chat?
Yeah, I'm definitely throwing a few memes in there.
Really?
And, yeah.
And
so.
can you describe your favorite meme?
I'm not good with verbal memes.
Could you demonstrate it if
well,
it's like a character?
I can't, because a picture is 1,000 words, and I don't know how much screen time I get today.
We definitely don't have enough time to say 1,000 words. Maybe me because I talk fast, I don't know. You must be alive and well in the group chat because you can't talk after practice. There's no Max Vinogradov to make jokes or anything like that. Tell me a little bit about this year's group chat.
Yeah, the group chat right now, we don't really have it assembled. Like, we just have the returning guys that we know are back for sure. They haven't really made it like too clear as to who's coming back for sure, but it is hard, especially too, because we're only allowed to sit a certain amount of people in the room. We're only allowed to come in 15 minutes before practice, and we have to leave right after, so we don't get much time to like talk and meet the guys that are coming.
From the group chat, any funny stories, anything you can share with me that's been happening in there?
yeah, some funny things have happened, but I don't know if I should be going on record about it, so we'll just leave it at that. But
This is community broadcast. It's PG.
yeah,
we'll
keep it family friendly.
You're new to the team this year, a couple of years in the OJHL. Have you made any new friends?
Yeah, a couple new friends, a couple familiar faces from around home, so it's been good so far.
Would you be able to say which ones are your new friends?
Rudy, Scott, and Noah Arsenal is an old friend.
That's great.
Yeah.
And there they are right there. There they are right there. Now, have you guys started a team group chat at all?
I think so. I just
Yeah?
don't think I've been added to it. I'm not sure.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Cohen Kitely, I hope you're watching this right now. This guy deserves in. Come on.
Thanks again, Zach, and we'll be back with more Nats Nation after this. Welcome back to Nats Nation here on Rogers TV, and in our final player highlights segment before the season actually starts. It's amazing it took this long, Zach, but we're finally talking about a goaltender, and it is Nationals goaltender Will Barber.
We sure are, and I'm really happy that we are, because he's someone that I could talk about for a very long time. Will Barber, I remember from when I played in the league, and that would be 3 years ago. And just, so the fans know, when we went to head to head, I did defeat Will in our matchup against each other. I think that Will, at that age, is probably a completely different goalie than he is now. I know he is. But what you can expect from Will is a guy who is just a puck stopping machine. He's, his in-game endurance and his ability to make save after save and bail his team out is something that he showcased when he played as a youngster 3 years ago for Sarnia. That would have been as a 17-year-old, and it's something that he did for a strong Oakville team over the past 2 seasons in the OJHL. Will's a guy that decided to go to Western University, so he's now back in London. He's originally from Oakville, so now he's come over to London. Pat Powers with a great pickup, and he's a guy that can absolutely carry the load for this team. He's exactly what they were looking for to take over from a guy like Brock Beyer. He can provide great minutes this coming season.
As you said there, Zach, it's like you saw him when he was 17, and like that 17 to 20-year range, that's some formative years. How do you think he's developed over those last 3 seasons?
That's a great question. So I think there's a couple of things that I want to hit on. And so the Will Barber that I saw at 17, I think, had the tendency sometimes to still have kind of minor hockey vibes with his kind of battle around the net. I think he would kind of flop sometimes down to his stomach and pancake. I think sometimes he would lose his edges a bit quickly and drop to the butterfly. He was quick, and he still is quick, and he's able to fly around the net. However, I think with age, he's really matured as a junior starter. And what I mean by that is that he's able to hold his feet, which gives him the ability to make more accurate pushes. He recognizes at the junior level that players aren't always going to take their first option. Sometimes they're going to look for a backdoor pass or a high slot pass, whereas I think in minor hockey, you almost expect, they make the simple play every time, and you want to kind of play the simple play. So I think he's gotten a lot smarter with the way he plays, and therefore he's just become way more effective at the junior level. And I think that Nats fans can actually expect a goalie now at 20 who will be absolutely able to dominate in the net this season.
Now, is there any one aspect of his game that you think he really excels at?
So Will is a bit of a shorter guy, just like me. He is taller than me, as we saw on Springer Cam a couple of weeks ago. But what I think he does super well is move. He's able to beat pucks on his feet. He can fly around the net, and I think that the movement he has is almost too good for this level, where he not only meets pucks on backdoor passes, but he makes really tough saves look easy. That's one thing I noticed when I was able to watch him the past couple of years when he suited up for Oakville in the OJHL is just how fast he is and how slick he looks when he's able to move around the net.
A bit of a calming presence in the net for the defenseman out there, at least.
He will be. It'll be a confidence booster right away because defensemen will know that if they make a mistake, hopefully they don't, but if they do, they've got a guy back there that can certainly back them up.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing him between the pipes, hopefully this upcoming season there, Zach. Now, thank you everybody so much for watching over these past few weeks here on Nats Nation. The next time we will see you will hopefully be the first game of the season. Thank you so much for watching.